Think about this. Moses, he's an ideal person to be placed in this position. Why is that? Because he was raised in the house of Pharaoh. He would have been steeped in all sorts of ancient wisdom as he was being raised as a young prince in the land of Egypt. He would have had some of the best tutors. He would have had some of the best input into his life to give him the best possible opportunity to be the one that could be a recipient for divine inspiration. He wasn't just some backwater dude. He wasn't a public speaker, which is why his brother Aaron had to go and do the speaking for him, because he wasn't a speaker for whatever reason. He then has this meeting with Yahweh, who discloses his covenant name to him, and who then must, at some point during their relationship, show him how he made the world. And Moses has got to try and grab all of that and portray that in a way that makes sense to the ancient people that he then has to deliver that message to. It's like sending a jet fighter back into the Middle Ages and for the people there to describe that phenomena. How the hell would they do it? A big bird? A big bird spitting fire from the back and spitting fire from the front when it launched a missile?
Yeah.
There's so much when you look at whatever he saw and how he saw it. He had to convey and distill the intent of God and the order that God did things in a way that made sense to the people that were going to receive it. That's staggering that he's been able to do that. And I think that Jordan Peterson has done an amazing job when he's looked at Genesis and looked at it just from a psychological perspective and how it so stacks up with clinical practice in terms of this is the way we know people work. These are thousands of years old, these books. And it does annoy me when people just are so dismissive of it. It's all a crock of crap. It's all of this, it's all that. And I think you can't be bothered to engage your thinking. Yes, critique it, pull it apart. That's exactly what I did 14, 15 years ago. Yeah, I would encourage you, go and do it.
Some people just argue the toss. They'll just argue everything. Critic doesn't mean somebody who's always poking holes. It's just saying, think about where these things come from. Literal criticism. What a lot of the debate is just trying to measure fog with calipers. A book called The Mosaic Authorship Controversy by Edward Andrews talks of all the history of people who were poo-pooing this. So you go back to Ibn Ezra of the 12th century, Thomas Hobbes, and Benedict Spinoza of the 17th, David Hume of the 18th, Julius Wellhausen, the German academic I mentioned before, the 19th. They say Moses did not write all of it. Turns out they were correct, because obviously he didn't. So what? You could talk about the J source and the E source and the P source and the D, which is Yahwist, Elohim, Priestly, Deuteronomist. Something that I said at the very beginning when we did Genesis, I used to be interested in. But I'm thinking, hang on, why? Because there's multiple input into a typical encyclopedia. Does that invalidate that? No, it doesn't. Andrews says this. Liberal Christianity says that Moses did not pen every word from Genesis through Deuteronomy. They conclude that this is nothing more than a tradition that originated in the times that the Jews returned from their exile in Babylon in 537 BCE, or Old BC, and the destruction of Jerusalem in 70. The source critics reason that there was and is a misunderstanding of Deuteronomy 31:9, which says that Moses wrote this law and delivered it unto the priests, the sons of Levi, that bear the ark of the covenant of Jehovah, and unto all the elders of Israel. They argue that Deuteronomy only implies that Moses wrote the laws of Deuteronomy chapters 12 to 28. Moreover, this was extended into a tradition that encompassed the belief that the entire Pentateuch was not written by Moses. End quote. As I said before, does it matter? There's a lady called Aminata Fana who says, don't judge a book by its author. It's what it says. There's too many people who are more interested in the packaging than what's in the box. And I think that's half the problem.